بارك الله في أخ عمر. والكلمة الآن للأخ نصر الدين، فليتفضل مشكور.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. May the greetings and blessings of Allah be upon all of you, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. Today, we are remembering a very important and a very sad day in the history of our beloved country, Algeria. And it will stay in the memory of all true, free, honest Algerians. On the 11th of January 1992, the Algerian president, Chadli Ben Jadid, may Allah bless him, announced live on television that he was standing down as head of state with immediate effect. Nervous he was, and ill at ease. This testifies that he was forced to resign. The president read out a brief prepared statement. In it, he explained his decision as a necessary one. Why? Because the democratic process which he had put in place two years earlier could no longer guarantee law and order. Law and order. Who broke the law and who broke the order? That's a question. Most ordinary Algerians were stunned and taken by surprise. The country was in the middle of two-round multi-party elections, the first of their kind since independence from the French colonization in 1962. Within this process, the first round on the 26th of December 1991 had delivered a massive victory to the Islamic Salvation Front, the PiS, which had gained 188 of the 231 seats, as against 15 for the National Liberation Front, the FLN, and 25 for the Socialist Forces Front, the FFS. The second round was planned for the 16th of January. In it, of course, the Islamic Salvation Front was poised to win the elections. The question was whether the government would let the second round go ahead or no. On the 2nd of January 1992, the FFS brought his supporters to the streets of Algiers. الFFS قام بمسيرة ب 2 جانفي 1992. يجب أن لا ننسى التاريخ. History will tell that this march with the chant, I mean the slogan, neither police state لا لدولة بوليسية وهي قائمة الآن, nor for an Islamic state لا للدولة الإسلامية. This made some officers to go into action, to stop the electoral process, and forced Chadli to resign, and power had to be handed over the High Security Council, who was made up of 3 senior military officers at that time: Khalid Nazar, Al-Arabi Ben Khir, and Abdel Malik Gnazia. Unsurprisingly, the High Security Council immediately used Shadley's resignation as a pretext for the cancellation of the second round of elections. On the 14th of January, presidential power was transferred to a newly created institution, the State High Committee, المجلس الأعلى للدولة. At his head was Mohammed Boudiab, who was assassinated. لقد قتل واغتيل in Annaba. A televised assassination. Everybody saw the assassination live on TV. 6 months after, by the same persons who brought him from Morocco. من طرف نفس الأشخاص الذين أتوا به من المغرب. According to his son, testimony Nasr al-Din Boudiab, and others, of course. No need to sit or say the names. In the neighboring area, بدول الجوار, President Ben Ali اللي هرب, Hosni Mubarak, President of Egypt, and Gaddafi immediately expressed support for the new regime. What happened to those? History will never forget. They welcomed the anti-peace crackdown. While in Great Britain, France, and the USA, the response was muted. But under the table, France ordered their officers to stop the electoral process. So, these countries have proved how highly democratic they are. They brag about democracy in their own countries, but they forbid it in our countries. Now, the consequences of the coup. I mean, the military coup and its impact. 1, democracy was eliminated. There is no democracy in our country. 2, the Popular Islamic Salvation Front was scattered. Its members were imprisoned and tortured and killed. Following this violent coup, thousands of civilians were being mysteriously and regularly massacred. Where? In the locations bizarrely or in the parts where they voted for the Islamic Salvation Front. The seizing and killing and imprisoning of the peace members and supporters who were sent to the concentration camps in the desert, where the nuclear tests were made by France. The new regime, on the pretext of eradicating Islamic terrorism. The result is that Algeria constituted a humanitarian crisis. Tens of thousands of children have been affected by a decade of ongoing violence. Hundreds of babies, children, and vulnerable civilians have been killed, often as deliberate targets. Thousands of children have been traumatized as a result of witnessing members of their family shot, cut to pieces, or burned alive, حُرِقوا أحياء, as well as witnessing bomb explosions and brutal military operations by security forces and the so-called the GIA, infiltrated by, and you know by who. So, the cost is a high tribute. Billions of dollars were lost. 700,000 of workers were made idle. 13,000 were sent to the concentration camps. They disappeared. Maybe there are more than 20,000. And those killed, 250,000. Who bears the responsibility? Who is liable for all those deaths? That's the answer we are waiting. Thank you so much for your listening, and I hope that it won't happen again in our country. So please take the lesson. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.